welcome back to my channel. So glad to have you here. Today we are talking all things books, so let's get into this video. So I really wanted to talk about a book I recently finished and some books that I'm looking forward to diving into in the fall. I have never been a big reader. I've always been there. So if you usually have two kids in a family, I'm pretty sure this is a thing. One of them is usually hyper running around the yard and the other one is maybe snuggled up in the corner reading a book. Which one are you? In that comparison, I'm the first one, but technically the second child. I'm the one running around the yard, unable to be tamed, just doing all the sports and not reading, and my brother just is a huge reader. Scotty is also a huge reader and he has inspired me so much to continue reading. So the other night we're laying in bed, and this was maybe a couple of months ago, and I've been reading a lot of books like the Brené Brown books, Dare to Lead, and all these kind of things, and I just looked at him and I just said, I really want to read a story. Like, I just want to read a story. And I think sometimes when we get into the fall, the leaves start changing, the drinks turn from ice to hot, and you just want to get cozy and maybe take a second to breathe and a second to settle down your mind. Another thing, for someone who is a non-reader, one thing I've discovered about myself is I love reading. I actually really love it. And the reason why I love it is because it just completely settles down your mind. You can't be reading a book, and most definitely you can't be reading a story and thinking about something else. Like, you just can't. So this is my first ever book video and I'm thrilled. So thanks for joining us on this day of YouTuber. Guys, you know what story Scott set me up with? Harry Potter. And he started me on the third book actually because everyone really knows the first book. I'm still gonna go back and read that one, so don't scream if you're like a huge Harry Potter fan. The whole thing with J.K. Rowling is really making me upset though now that I'm starting to do it and that controversy is there, but nonetheless we can still appreciate this story, right? So he started me on the third one, I finished it, and then I dived into this bad boy. This is the biggest book I've ever read. No shame in saying that. This is a big book. The Goblet of Fire. It was phenomenal. What a friggin' ride. The reason why I love it, and if you guys are Harry Potter fans as well, she just does a phenomenal job at every loose string. She just ties it right up. So, without further ado, I have now started on The Order of the Phoenix. So that is what I currently have by my bedside when it comes to stories. I'm trying to find my way through this, you guys, and one of the most exciting parts is that finishing this book, one of the videos I've really wanted to do is a fortnight with Scotty, and because I finished the book, now we can watch the movie. And one of the best parts about watching a movie after reading a book is you get to be that person being like, that's not right, they forgot this, I can't believe they missed that, and I get to be that person now. So I'm thrilled. We're gonna have a little fortnight, we're gonna get snacks, we're gonna make it all cozy, and we're gonna watch Goblet of Fire, and I cannot wait. So if you're looking for a great story, Scott literally was like, let me introduce you to this young man. He's a wizard, and his name is Harry Potter. When it comes to another story, one thing that I have been wanting to read, and it's been on the shelf for a long time, put up your hand if you've got a bunch of books on your shelf and you finally want to read them. Maybe now's the time to just pick one up and start reading it. When Breath Becomes Air. And I know this is going to be a tough one to get through. It's basically about a neurosurgeon, and he gets diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And everything that him and his wife have planned in their life has been flipped upside down, and now he's toeing the line between being a doctor to now a patient. This has won prizes, this has been Heather's pick in Indigo, and I can't wait to read it. Plus, it looks a lot less intimidating from this. You know what I'm saying? This will be the next story that I read, and of course it'll be a little bit different too because it's a real story. So hopefully I'm a little more emotionally stable. I also think that at this time that we are going through right now in the world, like, come on, we have got to just settle down and realize what's important. And I think a book like this is really going to be that grounding statement, and how topical as well, speaking of not being able to breathe and COVID. Like, yeah, I'm excited for that one. The next one is one that I'm almost done. I'm this far. And if you guys know anything about me and Scotty, my bookmark, I think it's really cute. It is, if you go on my Instagram, which I will tag below, it's the ticket from the Friends musical, the parody. Scott and I have this thing where we do this thing called secret date, and we go back and forth, and so we plan a secret date and we don't tell the other person what we're doing, and that was Scott's secret date for me last year. It was so fun. We should plan some more secret dates. Maybe I'll do that as a video too. That'd be really fun. But the book is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Now, when this came out, it was absolutely all over the place. So many women writing about this, and I love it. If you're looking for a book where you just can pick it up and read a little bit, these chapters, the stories within this book, it's not like one solid book. It definitely has a theme as it goes through, and Glennon talks about different moments of her life, but these chapters can be anywhere from 2 pages to 10 pages, you know, like they're just little snippets, little stories, and they all have a little theme. So if you are someone who can't read before bed because you can hardly get through a page before falling asleep, one, that is a great quality. I hope you never lose it, because falling asleep is really hard for a lot of people. But two, this could be the perfect book for you. It could be the perfect thing to just pack with you, where instead of, when you're waiting for the bus, instead of scrolling through social media, or you're waiting for someone to go pick up a coffee, instead of scrolling through social media, you just pick up this book and read one of the stories. Scott had this insight for me the other day because I had been starting to read a lot more, and he noticed, and he's like, you've been really like getting your way through that book. And I'm like, I know, I'm so proud of myself. And he said to really level up your book reading, you find times like when you're eating breakfast, you read your book opposed to scrolling through social media or doing something silly. So I started doing that, and you know what? This girl has been munching on those pages through meals. The next book that I want to read is more of a self-development book in a way of learning. And Scott's company sent everyone in the company this book, and it's called Radical Candor. If you have never heard of what Radical Candor is before, let me just kind of give you a little preview. So Radical Candor, and candor is basically just being honest and saying up front what you think. Radical candor is something that you can employ when you are working in a company or even in a relationship. So I made this video the other day, and it was well before Youtober, it was in September. And I had made it in a different way, and I was kind of just forcing it. And so I showed Scott, and he asked me, after watching it, he said, would you be up for some radical candor, which is a good learning from this book. And I said, yes, of course, please give me your advice. He kind of picked a couple of pieces, and he was super honest with me. And at the end of the day, I'm so happy that I didn't release that video. And I'm so thankful that Scott felt safe enough to give me some radical candor, because otherwise I would have released this video that I would have known I could have done much better, and I wouldn't have been happy with it. It wouldn't have done well. And then it kind of would have been just like a waste. And instead of being upset about that scenario, I just basically took this as, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you told me, because I can learn from this. What's the learning lesson? I'm gonna set it up better. I'm gonna make sure I have the notes. I'm gonna make sure that I do all of these things. And it was because of learning something like radical candor in our relationship. One of the stories in the book that he reflected on, he was telling me the other day, I think they were just talking about it in a business meeting, but basically there's this woman, and she works for this design firm, and within the design firm, one of the employees everyone loves. They love him so much. He's so nice. He brings so much to the company. And he just wasn't producing the best work. And eventually they led to this one point where a client was so disgruntled about this work, they were gonna leave. It was gonna be really, really bad news for the company. And they either had the choice of, what was it? They either had the choice, they basically had to fire this person. And so when they did, they said, hey, your work just wasn't up to snuff. We've really got to let you go. And she said, the worst thing that I heard was, why didn't you tell me? And that just hit. Because it's so right. There's so many moments in life where, you know, if someone just told you, if someone just said something honestly to you because they knew you could be better and they knew you could grow from a scenario, instead of just letting you be because it's too uncomfortable having some radical candor and talking to someone truthfully and honestly, then that person probably could have gotten better and still stayed working there, opposed to them just avoiding this uncomfortable conversation until the point where they had to let them go. So this is Be a Kick-Ass Boss, Radical Candor Without Losing Your Humanity. Packed with illuminating truths, insightful advice, and practical suggestions, indispensable, said Gretchen Rubens. So I'm excited to read this one, and as well, this is one of the 10 top books on leadership, creative leadership, and as well, one of the 5 books guaranteed to advance your career. Boom. That's it. That's the one. The very last book I want to show you guys is The Little Book of Hygge. Now, you know, if you have been watching a lot of my YouTuber series, that I recently talked about Hygge, and it's pronounced Hygge even though it's spelled H-Y-G-G-E. And I said in that video too, it seems harder to pronounce it than to explain it, but it's actually harder to explain it because it's a feeling. And Hygge, the Danish way of living, is basically embracing who you are, where you are, a feeling, getting cozy. It relates a lot to like candles, warm drinks, Sundays, Christmas, the feeling of having a fireplace lit, a raging storm outside. And the reason why I started to get really into this, and I have just been loving this book, it's like a warm hug when you read this book and you can just pick it up. And I feel like even though it's really tiny, I think that this is the perfect little coffee table book, especially through the winter months, even if you have someone come and pick it up, because it has all these really cute little illustrations in it, and they talk about around the world how other people have this word hygge. And it's basically how the Danish are so happy. It's from the Happiness Institute. One of the men who works there, Mike Wicking, and he's from the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. And he talks all about why Danish people are so happy. And the thing that strikes me about this is from October to March, it's dark in Denmark. And we are about to go through some Canadian winter where there is no real feeling of escape because of COVID-19. You can't really just hop on a plane and go on a vacation. So I was like, you know what? We gotta start embracing winter, and this is how you do it. Let me read just the back of this. Hygge can be translated as everything from the art of creating intimacy to the coziness of the soul to taking pleasure from the presence of soothing things. My personal favorite is Cocoa by Candlelight. Oh. You gotta get this book, guys. Or if you don't have to get the book, but check out the Hygge video. I'm gonna link that one up above. And yeah, these are the books. These are the ones. If you guys could let me know what you are reading this fall, or if you have any suggestions, books and themes that I like are like self-development, self-growth, maybe a really nice story or something that you just couldn't put down, I would love to have that down below. I know a few other book hauls during this time of year can be like spooky books and things like that, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that just ain't me. So I hope you're all doing well, and I would love to see you in at least 24 hours. We'll see you in my next YouTuber video. Bye guys. Try to let her go because she won't be mine. I listen when